it's the Rawsome Vegan Gal here, and today I am reviewing another book, and this is the book called The Little Book of Raw Vegan Holiday Recipes by Judy Pokras, and I want to thank Judy for giving me the book to review, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Judy. It actually tells me more on the back of the book, so there you go. So this book was from the founder and editor of rawfoodnewsmagazines.com, and I will have a link below this video to that site. And this book features beverages, brunch, appetizers, entrees, side dishes, and desserts, and recipes from traditional American favorites like cranberry sauce, apple pie a la mode, pumpkin butternut, squash pumpkin pie, etc. And includes beautiful photos, tips, and info for both newbies and raw food enthusiasts. And so it also says here, this book spans the generations, with Judy's version of a salad that was a hit in 2 New Jersey diners decades ago, as well as dishes for kids. She's also a chef, a raw food person, or raw foodie as it says here, food writer, journalist, and photographer. So this is a very nice book. And this is actually the 4th edition that was copyrighted in 2011. And let's see, I don't know when the first edition came out. But let's see, I know she has some notes here about that. I'm not sure exactly when myself, like I said. And also I will have a link you can actually, or I'll just tell you, you can actually look for this on Amazon. Just put in the title and her name and it should come up. You could purchase the book on Amazon. So just to kind of go through what the book talks about. So she actually does have a page. She talks about her different editions. This says it's the 2nd edition, but this is actually the 4th edition that I have. So this book I think came out in 2007 originally, and now we're in 2016. So this is the book that was from 2011. And she mentions in here that she replaced certain ingredients that she had used before that I thought were okay, such as agave. She now uses coconut nectar or crystals, which is a raw, low glycemic sweetener, rather than agave, which is high in fructose. And she says some nice things here. She gives you some notes here that the book celebrates food that's interesting and tasty, with complex flavors and textures and unexpected ingredients, all plated in a fun way. So that's the whole premise. It's like you want to make, these recipes that you'll have fun doing. And food that's good for us. And she suggests reading through the table of contents before deciding what recipes to make, because you might want to have a recipe from one area, use it at another time of day. And she puts a note here to new people in raw food. Raw food recipes are good for anyone, good for the health of the planet, and with a bit of creativity you can replicate most of your favorite cooked foods by making raw recipes, using things like nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, herbs, and a combination of them. And there's a lot, she says here, there's a lot of restaurants for serving raw cuisine. So raw foods are also full of digestive enzymes and other nutrients that are destroyed by cooking. So she gives you some interesting information. So in the book she does have some also menu suggestions in general for different times of the year, different holidays like Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and New Year's, if you celebrate. You celebrate the secular New Year. And she gives you different menu suggestions and also notes about different ingredients, such as soaking nuts and seeds, should you or shouldn't you. So here it talks about that when you soak nuts or seeds, it removes enzyme inhibitors. If you didn't know that, they do have enzyme inhibitors. And some people soak them as soon as they buy them, and then they actually dehydrate them so they can use them later. But sometimes you need to use them without having pre-soaked them, it says here. And she even says, I've heard several schools of thought about soaking nuts and seeds. One chef told me that only nuts with brown skins on them require soaking. And there's someone else who said that soaking nuts that are broken or nicked actually makes them harder to digest. They have not been soaked at all. I don't know what that actually means. I'm not sure. It's good to store them in the freezer or in the refrigerator to prolong the shelf life. And then she also mentions about using a blender, food processor, dehydrator, or having a good knife. So she gives you a little bit. It's not a full-fledged book on teaching you what you need to use, but it's nice to have a little overview. And then she says about buying the type of ingredients you should buy. Always look for locally grown if you can, if you don't live near a farmer's market. And she mentions here something very interesting. She says, I read an article once about an avocado called the Julia. Never heard of it. And she said it tastes like ice cream. Despite my efforts to track it down, I never located any. And a recent article in the New Yorker says there are hundreds of varieties of cacao that grow in the Amazonian rainforest. That's amazing. So that's just some information for you to know. So she does break this down, which is nice, to different sections: beverages, brunch, appetizers, entrees, side dishes, and desserts. So you can also get a copy of this ebook, a PDF copy from her on her website, and I will have a link there so you can check that out. And so what's nice here is, like she says, you can mix and match things, and you know, this is a holiday book for the holidays, but you can make these recipes, I think, anytime. I don't think really you have to stick to that. It's just that if people want to have like an idea, a menu plan, what to do. She has something called berry striped nut milk, which looks very interesting. I could show you the picture of that. It's really pretty, actually. There's the berry going down the glass. I imagine that's on the inside. And she uses red raspberries or strawberries for the stripes, or blueberries if you want blue stripes. And let's see what else is interesting. Different kinds of drinks. She has a juice, Brio Trio. So that's drinking. Let's see. Oh, so she has different juices together. Orange juice and let's see what else. I don't know which. She just has them in the picture, 3 different juices. I'm not sure which they are. So, but she has different kinds of drinks. Even says something she calls like wine, which is just actually using grapes and lime. That sounds pretty easy. Then for brunch, she has things like nut milk yogurt, Pluot ginger date jam. Now that sounds really good. Now I haven't actually made any of these recipes, but I'm just kind of looking through them to give you an idea, and you can check them out yourself. I think be very worthwhile. Everything looks really good. So this recipe calls just for pluots. If you never heard of a pluot, pluot is a mix of a plum and apricot. So hence plu for the plum and ot for the apricot. And those are not available as yet this time of year. Depending on where you live, you might not be able to get them. So she says you can always use plums. So it calls for 4 ingredients. Very simple: pluots or plums, dates, ginger, and orange zest. So that sounds really simple. And then you puree them all. And you can put them on a cracker or just eat it as it is, I'd say. Onion pickle crackers, that sounds really good. Now again, if you don't have a dehydrator, you may not be able to do this. So maybe you could do it in your oven on very, very low temperature. So that would be the other way to do it. She has something called sun-dried tomato spread. Now I'm a big fan of tomatoes. It sounds really good. Using cashews, tomatoes, lemon, garlic, Celtic salt, lemon juice, and also olive oil. I'm not a person who really is a big fan of oil, so I actually would just probably leave that out to make the spread. I don't think it's necessary with the cashews. Mock scrambled eggs. That's very interesting. How is that made? Using coconut meat. So that's interesting. A way to make eggs. And I don't think it's dehydrated. It doesn't say anything about it being dehydrated, so I'm not sure. It doesn't say actually that there's no dehydration. You just place all but the last ingredient. Oh, the puree, just the bell pepper, which is in the recipe, and the oil. Again, I'm not an oil person, so I would probably just leave that out. So that sounds really interesting. Onion biscuits. Wow, these recipes are very interesting because they do kind of take familiar things that you would make and make them raw. So I find that very interesting that she's come up with these ideas. So now appetizer. Ooh, this looks really pretty. Borscht. If you know about, people know about borscht. Traditionally, they use sour cream. So instead of that, she doesn't even, for the sour cream, she uses just tahini, lemon juice, and Celtic sea salt. That's really simple. So let's see what else. There's butternut squash, corn, and lemongrass soup. Now lemongrass, if you've never explored that, it's a really nice smelling, I guess you'd call it an herb. that you could use. This recipe sounds really interesting. You use the stock, and it gives it an interesting flavor. Let's see what else. This one sounds really good. Celery root and butternut squash cakes. If you never eaten celery root, it's actually really good. So these are made into kind of like, I would say, I probably like potato pancake type thing, I would say. And again, it's put on in a dehydrator. And it says to dehydrate it for several hours. It doesn't give a temperature, but again, if you don't have a dehydrator, you put it on the lowest temperature in your oven. That might work. So let's see what else sounds good. Now, entrees. She has some nice entrees. She has marinated veggie skewers with parsnip rice. Now, that sounds really good. So you're using parsnip as an alternative to rice. People also use cauliflowers. I've heard of even people using jicama. So it all depends on what you want to go for. This sounds really nice too. Butternut squash angel hair pasta with pumpkin seed pesto. Now look how nice this looks. You wouldn't even know that it's butternut squash. You might think it's, I don't know, some dyed noodles or something, what it isn't. Here's the picture right here. It looks really pretty with the pumpkin seed pesto. So again, you'd need a spiralizer for that. If you don't have that, you can look online. Probably Amazon have it. But it's a fun product to have on hand, a tool, part of your equipment. And then you'll get a lot of use out of it because you can make pasta. Some of them come with different ones you could use for different sizes, meaning you can make thin, like angel hair, or thicker noodles, or spaghetti. And you could do it with zucchini, sweet potato, carrot. The sky's the limit, really. You know, whatever you have that you might want to try. So that sounds really good. Raw vegan lasagna. And you make a marinara sauce. You use coconut for the noodles. And it has an Italian nut cheese. That sounds really good. Again, this is maybe a more complicated recipe, you know, if you're looking for simpler things. And you could also just make the sauce or make the cheese and use it with something else. It's also an option. Let's see what else we have here. Now, side dishes. She has a thing called diner salad. And this is one she mentioned that is on the back of the book that it's a hit. And it was from a recipe from her mom, Anne. And it looks really, really nice. She said it harkens back to the famous diner in Newark, New Jersey, which I never heard of. I can't even pronounce the name. Then eventually moved to Verona. It became a different name. And they had this bowl of salad on every table for free, so that's interesting. So just cabbage, carrots, bell pepper, cucumber, Vidalia onion, and they have a marinade that she kind of put together, I guess, using coconut nectar, apple cider vinegar, flaxseed oil, sea salt, Celtic salt, garlic powder, celery salt, and black pepper. Again, I'm not a big fan of oil, so I'd leave it out. I don't use apple cider vinegar, so I would probably use lemon instead. That's just my choice. So here's the salad. It looks very simple and basic, not too complicated. Now the next recipe looks really pretty. It's just a cranberry sauce a la orange. So it just uses cranberries, orange, apple, coconut secret nectar, and 1 pomegranate. And the picture is just really, really pretty. It looks very elegant. I don't know if you can see that here. This one right here. So moving right along so we can get through this. She has another simple recipe called arugula and pear salad with raspberry dressing. That sounds good too. Lettuce, orange, grape, and pecan salad. So again, you know, you can also play with these recipes and do some of your own things. You know, a recipe too is a guideline. You don't have to follow it exactly to the letter of the law or to the exact amounts of, you know, seasonings and stuff. You can play with it. The whole idea is it's a framework for you to use for yourself. Now, desserts. Desserts are things that a lot of people like. Vanilla cashew almond ice cream. Now, that sounds really good. And this, you blend it, and she says you put it through a nut milk bag, and then to dehydrate it. That's interesting. And then you blend it. So she has a different process. You make, cashew almond milk. That's why. So that sounds really interesting. Here she has carrot cake Napoleons, and that's actually what's on the cover of the book. If I get it in the right light, there you can see it. So it's a different approach to carrot cake. She says the recipe is a 1/4-inch tall carrot cake muffins or cookies. And whether they're muffins or cookies will depend on how long you leave them in the dehydrator. As very short muffins, they make an awesome Napoleon when stacked with layers of cashew, pineapple, vanilla frosting. Wow, that sounds really good. As cookies, they have a different, denser, drier density. In either incarnation, they're excellent when accompanied by hot tea at the end of a meal. So that sounds really good too. let's see what else there is that looks interesting. Cinnamon pear coconut ice cream. That also sounds really good. There's no picture of that one. Here are some chia seed crisps. That sounds really nice too. These are cookies made with coconut water, chia seeds, cinnamon, nutmeg, ground cloves, and Celtic salt. And this again are, I think these are dehydrated again. And again, if you don't have a dehydrator, try a low oven perhaps. So here's a picture of them actually, right here. And this one does not use any sweetener, so it's not really a cookie, it's more like a savory cracker. And if you'd want to make it sweeter, you can always add some sweetener to it. And let's see, chocolate mousse pudding and chocolate mousse pie. That sounds really good too. Using dates, coconut nectar, avocado, carob powder, cacao nibs, and a crust using different nuts and coconut. Sounds really good too. And so that's basically the book. It's just, like you said, it's the little book of raw vegan recipes. I don't know how many she has in total, but she has quite an assortment. I didn't actually mention all of them, but you know, you get the basic framework of what she's trying to do, trying to give you some good options that you could explore, again, for the holidays or for somebody's birthday, anniversary, anything, wedding. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. There's no rhyme or reason why you can't use this book of recipes at any time. So I hope you'll check it out, and I thank you for watching. It's the Rawesome Vegan Gal.